The Adventures of Willy Wetbeard, Part 1. I woke up to the creaking of the ship's timbers and the not-so-distant roar of the ocean. My head pounded, a cruel reminder of the fierce battle that led to my capture. Blinking against the dim light filtering through the tiny porthole, I surveyed the cramped cell that had become my prison.
Seems I've danced with misfortune this time,
I muttered, my voice barely audible in the dank chamber. The air was thick with the stench of seawater and despair. But as a seasoned pirate, I refused to let the weight of my circumstances crush my spirit. I surveyed my surroundings, searching for any weaknesses in my captor's design.
Well. They've underestimated old Willy Wetbeard, to be sure.
I chuckled, though the sound echoed eerily against the cold, damp wooden walls that surrounded me. The rusty chains that bound my wrists and ankles clinked as I shifted my weight, testing their strength. The realization that the cell's door was slightly ajar ignited a spark of hope within me.
Ooh, that's interesting. Bit of carelessness on their part, says I. Or perhaps a touch of arrogance.
I mused, plotting my escape. I carefully inched towards the door, every movement calculated to avoid detection. My eyes adjusted to the gloomy darkness of the ship's lower levels, but it wasn't quite enough. I needed the lantern hanging just outside my cell. It was surely within reach, and with it, a glimmer of opportunity flickered in its dim light.
Now then, let's see what we can do with this,
I muttered to myself, a sly smile playing on my lips. I extended my arm through the narrow gap, fingers grazing the lantern's handle. With a swift and determined motion, I snatched it, causing a soft jingle that went unnoticed amid the ship's myriad sounds. I held the lantern high above my head, the warm glow revealing a rusty keyring hanging from a hook on the wall opposite my cell door. My heart quickened at the sight.
Looks like the sea has decided to play a kind hand to old Willy Wetbeard today.
For down below in the cramped darkness, the walls were never too far away. Quickly, I removed my shoe, and surprisingly with my first throw, I hit the keys, and they clattered down to the floor. Now, with a mighty dislocation threatening reach, and of course the extra length of the lantern in my hand, I managed to drag the chain of keys toward me. Maneuvering the lantern to better illuminate the keyring, my eyes scanning the collection of keys, my mind raced, recalling the subtle differences between the iron teeth of the various keys. It wasn't the first time I found myself in such a predicament.
The art of escaping. A skill every pirate worth his salt should master,
I whispered, as if imparting ancient wisdom to an invisible audience. The first key I selected proved to be a futile attempt, the lock remaining steadfast, and my excitement waning as I tried the second, then the third, and then the fourth.
Patience, Willy. Patience is the key. Well, not the actual key, otherwise I'd be free, wouldn't I?
Finally, the fifth key turned with a satisfying click, releasing the chains of my bound wrists. The sensation of freedom surged through me like a gust of wind on a stormy sea. My grin widened, and I swiftly moved to free my ankles.
Now for the tricky part,
I muttered, eyeing the still slightly open door. Slowly, I slid the cell door open with deliberate care, its hinges protesting with a faint groan. My eyes darted down the dimly lit corridor, assessing the situation. The sound of footsteps echoed from above, indicating the presence of the crew.
Time to dance in the shadows,
I chuckled, blending into the darkness like a ghost. I slinked through the narrow passages, my ears turned to every sound around me. The ship was alive with the murmurs of sailors and the occasional shout from the upper deck. I pressed myself against the wall, slipping past the oblivious crew members.
Easy does it, Wetbeard. No need to alert the whole crew just yet,
I whispered to myself, moving with the stealth of a cunning shark, hunting things that are, not sharks. My journey through the labyrinthine ship led me to the deck, where the moon cast a silvery glow upon the turbulent sea. The salty breeze embraced me, whispering tales of freedom and adventure. My eyes scanned the ship's surroundings, seeking a suitable means of escape.
A rowboat would be ideal,
I reasoned, spotting a rowboat dangling from the ship's side. As I crept forward, a sharp voice cut through the night air.
Who goes there?
My heart skipped a beat. I flattened myself against the ship's hull like an overly passionate barnacle. A crew member paced the deck, scanning the shadows with suspicion. I held my breath, praying he wouldn't discover my presence.
Must be imagining things,
he mumbled, turning away.
Aye, the night can play tricks on a man's eyes, to be sure.
I seized the moment, scrambling into the rowboat with the grace of a cat on the prowl. The ropes creaked as I lowered myself into the small vessel, eager to put distance between me and the accursed ship.
Goodbye, you floating prison,
I murmured, untying the rowboat and letting it drop into the tumultuous sea below. As the cold waves enveloped the small craft, I grabbed the oars and began rowing towards the freedom that awaited me on the horizon. The rhythmic splash of the oars echoed my heartbeat, each stroke carrying me farther from captivity.
Ahoy! What's that in the water?
A distant voice shouted from the ship. I chuckled softly, my eyes fixed on the open sea.
Just a phantom, my friend. Old Captain Wetbeard slips through the fingers once again.
Now, with the moon as my guide, and the salty sea breeze as my accomplice, I sailed into the night, leaving the captured ship and its bewildered crew behind. The adventure that lay ahead beckoned me like a siren song, and I embraced the uncertainty with the thrill of a pirate bound for uncharted waters. Part 2. Days turned to nights as I rowed through the endless expanse of the open sea. The rhythmic creaking of the lifeboat became a companion, a monotonous lullaby that played against the backdrop of the vast, unyielding ocean. The sun and moon took turns dominating the sky, and my sense of time dissolved into a murky haze that was carried away by the sound of distant thunder.
Lost at sea, the endless blue. Am I truly free? Or have I become a prisoner again? A cruel twist of fate. The lure of the open water. Only to be led into captivity once more.
I muttered to the wind, my voice barely audible over the ceaseless rhythm of the waves. Isolation began to weave its tendrils into my mind. The constant solitude tested the limits of my sanity, and I found myself engaging in conversations with imaginary companions, desperate for any form of human connection. My mind was darkening, as sure as the storm clouds that seemed to forever linger on the horizon.
Wetbeard, you old sea dog. They'll be telling tales of your madness if you keep this up.
I chuckled, the hollow sound echoing in the emptiness. In the midst of my delirium, a sight in the distance snapped me back to reality. A silhouette emerged, breaking the monotony of the endless sea. A mysterious landmass, lush and green, beckoned on the horizon.
Aha! A mirage. Or a glimpse of salvation.
I squinted, my eyes trying to discern the reality of the approaching island. As the rowboat drifted closer, the features of the land sharpened. Towering trees, their branches interwoven like the spires of a natural cathedral, rose against the sky. The scent of earth and vegetation mingled with the salty air, a welcome departure from the sterile aroma of the sea.
Land! At last!
I exclaimed, the spark of hope reigniting within me. With renewed determination, I rowed towards the island, anticipation mounting with each stroke of the oars. The distant sound of birds and the rustling of palm leaves reached my ears, promising precious life and mystery.
Captain Wetbeard, a castaway seeking refuge on a forgotten island. Now that's a tale to be told. An adventure it is to be sure, mate.
I chuckled, the excitement of the unknown overshadowing the weariness that had settled in my bones. As the rowboat glided onto the white sandy shore, I marveled at the untamed beauty that surrounded me. The jungle sprawled in every direction, a lush tapestry of vibrant flora and hidden secrets. The air was alive with a symphony of nature, a stark contrast to the haunting loneliness of the open sea.
Solid ground beneath me feet. Feels like a dance with the fates, eh?
I mused, stepping onto the shore and then almost immediately falling asleep. When I awoke, hungry and thirsty, and still with a pounding headache, the jungle beckoned with mysterious allure, and curiosity fueled my exploration. As I ventured deeper between the trees, the vibrant colors and unfamiliar sounds enchanted my senses. It was a world untarnished by the hands of men, a sanctuary where time seemed to stand still.
Perhaps I've stumbled upon a paradise, hidden from the prying eyes of the world,
I pondered, a sense of wonder replacing the fatigue that had clung to me at sea. Yet as the day unfolded into night, the jungle revealed its enigmatic nature. Whispers echoed through the foliage, and shadows danced among the ancient trees. The line between reality and imagination blurred, and I felt the island's pulse resonating with an energy I couldn't comprehend.
Is this paradise or purgatory?
I wondered aloud, my steps becoming more cautious as the jungle embraced me with its secrets. As the moon cast an ethereal glow over the island, I stumbled upon a clearing adorned with ancient ruins. Moss-covered stones stood as silent sentinels, guarding the mysteries of a forgotten civilization.
Lost to time. Like the stories of those who had dared to explore the unknown,
I murmured, tracing my fingers over the weathered carvings. In the heat of the ruins, a soft glow emanated from a peculiar artifact. A shimmering gem nestled atop an ornate pedestal. The allure of the gem captivated me, its brilliance promising answers to the island's mysteries.
What tales do you behold in then?
I questioned, the pirate in me drawn to the promise of untold riches and secrets. As I reached for the gem, a sudden gust of wind whispered warnings in the leaves. The jungle seemed to pulse with a hidden power, and a shiver ran down my spine.
Oh, Captain Wetbeard, tread carefully in this realm of shadows and whispers,
I murmured, the weight of the unknown settling upon me. Little did I know that the island held more than just stories and artifacts. It cradled ancient secrets, and my arrival marked the beginning of a tale woven into the fabric of a mystical jungle. The journey that lay ahead promised a dangerous and devilish rendezvous with destiny on a mystical island forgotten, or maybe avoided by time. Part 3. As the glow of the gem intensified, the ruins seemed to come alive with an otherworldly energy. Whispers grew into eerie chants, and shadows twisted into strange shapes, setting the stage for a tussle with forces beyond my understanding.
Seems I've stumbled upon more than just a forgotten island. Brace yourself, Wetbeard, for the unknown awaits here, to be sure,
I muttered, gripping the hilt of my cutlass. A thunderous rumbling erupted behind me, and I turned to see a rock wall beneath a high ledge, the centerpiece slowly falling away, and a hidden passage revealing itself. A fool's move, maybe, but the adventurer in me was lured into the darkness. The tunnel was dank, moisture held in the air, the smell of moss filled my senses as I blindly followed the path, and then light at the end of the tunnel. I emerged into what can only be described as another world. A clearing, a forest within a forest, and before me stood a colossal temple, veiled in vines and adorned with mysterious symbols. The gem pulsed in my hand, guiding me deeper into the heart of the ancient structure.
A pirate's paradise or a sailor's doom. Time to find out,
I whispered to the gem, my breath visible in the mystical atmosphere. As I ventured through the dimly lit corridors, unfamiliar ruins adorned the cold stone walls, and the air crackled with an unsettling energy. The sand beneath my feet seemed ancient, undisturbed for millennia maybe, yet still I pushed forward until I reached the central chamber. The temple's secrets unfurled before me, Voodoo symbols etched into the floor glowed ominously in vivid green and red, and arcane artifacts lined the path. Strange creatures slithered in the shadows, their eyes gleaming with an otherworldly intelligence.
Looks like I've stumbled upon a treasure guarded by more than just time, says I
mused, my senses sharpened for the imminent encounter. The gem led me to an ornate pedestal. Resting atop it was a chest, its surface shimmering with a captivating iridescence. The allure of the treasure beckoned, but an unsettling feeling gnawed at the edges of my consciousness.
Never a pirate without a price to pay,
I sighed cautiously, approaching the chest. As my fingers brushed the surface, the temple erupted with a symphony of eerie sounds. Shadows twisted into nightmarish shapes, and the voodoo symbols glowed with an intensity that seared into my soul.
Oh, bugger in barnacles,
I muttered, bracing myself for the impending clash with the supernatural. The chamber echoed with the guttural chants of unknown entities, and the air vibrated with unseen forces. Suddenly, the shadows coalesced into spectral forms, voodoo guardians animated by ancient magic, their eyes gleaming with an unsettling light as they encircled me.
Seems diplomacy isn't an option for old Willy Wetbeard.
I grinned, cutlass drawn, ready to face the spectral assailants. An entity swirled and appeared before me, and to my surprise the thing spoke in a ghastly voice.
Why do they call you Willy Wetbeard?
I smirked.
Aha! Well, they be calling me Willy Wetbeard, because it's my name.
Okay, but why Wetbeard?
Well, they be calling me Wetbeard on account of all the rums I'll be spilling down my beard when I drinks me rum.
Now it shall be covered with blood.
The battle unfolded in a blur of steel and shadows. Swinging my cutlass with precision, I parried ethereal strikes and somehow evaded unseen assaults. The gem in my hand pulsed with a rhythm that mirrored the ebb and flow of the conflict.
I've faced ferocious storms at sea, battled with blade and bullet. I'm sure I can weather the tempest of the supernatural.
I taunted, adrenaline coursing through my veins. Yet the voodoo guardians proved resilient, their attacks fueled by an ancient power. Shadows enveloped me, threatening to consume my very essence. The gem in my hand glowed brighter, its energy intertwining with mine in a desperate bid for survival. As the final guardian dissipated into the mist, a haunting silence settled over the temple, and a confused frown settled upon my forehead, for I had now bested my assailants. In fact, I'm pretty sure that would be an impossible task with just a mere cutlass. No, it seemed they had simply retreated to whichever realm they came from, their duty done, the test complete, a worthy adversary found. Now the chest before me opened with a creak, revealing its mystical contents, an array of artifacts imbued with the island's arcane power.
Well, it seems fortune favors the brave, even in the face of this otherworldly sorcery.
I chuckled, placing the gem amongst the artifacts and closing the chest. It was heavy, but not heavy enough to leave behind. With the treasures in tow, I retraced my steps through the now eerily quiet temple. The voodoo magic had dissipated, leaving the ruins in a state of stillness, and as I emerged in the moonlit jungle, the mysterious island seemed to sigh in relief.
Time to bid farewell to this enigmatic sanctuary,
I declared, making my way back to the rowboat. Hours passed as I escaped the island's currents, and as I sailed into the dawn of a new day, the island's silhouette disappeared beneath the azure waves. The gem pulsed one final time, a subtle reminder of the supernatural encounter that had defined my adventure. The sea welcomed me once more, and I rode the waves towards the open expanse.
Back to the sea. my true mistress. But not without the spoils of the unknown.
I grinned, the treasure secured in the chest beside me. As the sun painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, I set a course into the promise of new horizons and rode toward the burgeoning sunrise. The mysteries of the island and the voodoo-infused temple were now a distant memory, a tale to be shared among pirates and sailors alike.
Captain Wetbeard, a man who sailed through the shadows and emerged with treasures untold.
I declared to the open sea, savoring the salty breeze that whispered tales of adventures yet to unfold on the vast canvas of the open sea.
Aye, and what more adventures lie out there beyond the distant waves?